Luckily, we have developed a time travel device to transport you back to
Miami Beach.
Miami Beach in the 1980s.
Hi everyone, Anthony here with Ace's Adventures, and welcome back to another episode. This time we are at the Tri-County Mall in Springdale, Ohio, just outside of the Cincinnati region, actually just a few moments, and, ironically enough, only 5 miles away from the good old Forest Fair Mall. So, I'm going to give you guys some history about this property as per usual, and then we will talk about some upcoming things for the channel for the summer months. I visited this mall on the weekend of the Dead Mall Summit, had a lot of fun there, and it was great to meet a lot of the fans, and I hope that those of you that came out to the event truly had a good time, even though there were some minor hiccups, but I still enjoyed it and had a great time overall. So,
beautiful in here.
This mall actually is really quite old. It opened in 1960, and actually groundbreaking started in July of 1959, and it has been expanded several times over its history. So the version that you are seeing now, what's left of it anyways, is dramatically different from what happened or what it looked like when the mall originally opened, most notably there being a second level added, which we'll get into in just a moment here. So once again, like I mentioned, it opened in 1960. It started off as an open-air center, and there was an enclosed Sears that was added in 1967, and the rest of the mall was fully enclosed shortly after in 1969. The original anchors were Cincinnati-based Shalitos and H&S Pogue, and I believe I'm pronouncing those correctly. If you are a historian of the area, feel free to correct me if not. Some other original tenants included an S.S. Kresge dime store, which we all know what that's about, a Kroger supermarket, and a Gray Drugs. And the mall originally opened with 51 stores. So the mall, pretty much, that was the way it stayed up until the 80s, and then in 1987 is when the changes started to happen. And in 87, a proposal to open a second mall directly across the Interstate 275 was proposed, and it would be called the Springdale Town Center, and plans were discussed, but the city council eventually shot down those plans, fearing that it would draw too much competition and just be too much of an oversaturation on their part. So that never happened. A major renovation took place in 1990, and that was when they added the second level and added the food court. The food court was actually the first one in the United States to be able to receive orders for food by fax. So it's kind of an interesting little tidbit on the history of the mall there. The mall started to have a downturn in the 90s and was actually sold several times. The first time it was sold in 1997 for $147 million. The mall was sold again in 2002 and also in 2005. And then JCPenney closed in 2005, and that's really when the mall started to really fall pretty fast. Other notable events were a mall curfew limiting teenagers in the mall without supervision on weekends was instilled in 2010, and that seemed to have a real negative impact on the community. And then in 2013, the mall was sold again at a sheriff's sale for $45 million. So sold in 97 for $147 million and sold for $100 million less. More than that at a sheriff's sale just some 16 years later. The death nails really came when Sears closed in 2018, preceded by Dillard's closing in 2015. So as many malls have the problem, they all suffer, for the most part, from anchoritis. The anchors closing and the mall unable to recover. The population in the Cincinnati area started to shift more northernly, and that also affected the nearby Northgate Mall and the legendary Forest Fair Mall, which is the most dead of the three. But this place is hurting bad. The mall is very clean. The maintenance here keeps it very clean, and the security guard that I bumped into at the end of my filming, although he told me to stop, that was fine. I was already done for the day. But was very courteous and just politely asked us to stop filming. So we did, but I got what I needed regardless. This place has incredible natural light. It's very beautiful inside. It feels very upper scale, and it's really sad to see the state that it is in. So hopefully there is, a turnaround of some kind. Maybe they're going to, change it into some sort of a mixed-use property, because it's in absolutely gorgeous shape, and I could not see anything that indicated any kind of deterioration at all. So the Macy's is the last remaining anchor, and if you're wondering, as per usual, whenever I can, I'm actually in the mall just prior to opening. I do that for two reasons. Number one is it's much easier to film because there's usually nobody in the mall, and two, I try not to, focus on people, and I don't want to seem creepy when I'm filming. So it's nice when I can just be in there alone and just kind of do my thing and then get out of there. So there is much more content coming. You're going to see some footage from Forest Fair Part 2, a little update on that mall because we were in the area. I also stopped at the American Sign Museum in the Cincinnati area and recorded some footage on that. So going to mix in some other stuff like I did with Centralia and whatnot, and still have some footage to put out for Columbia Mall and a couple others. So still content coming, and really going to just figure out what the next phase of the channel is. The summer is going to be diverse. I want to film some other things, and hopefully you can appreciate the content being switched up just a little bit here and there, but retail is still probably always going to be the main focus of the channel as we continue to watch a lot of these chains just go down the tubes as Payless, actually, as of the recording of this video, is about to experience its final days. As per usual, please, if you enjoy my content, make sure that you are following me on Instagram and Twitter at Aces Adventures 1. That's where I post all of the content digital for my channel, pictures and whatnot. Once again, on Twitter at Ace and Instagram at Aces Adventures 1. And to all my new subscribers, welcome. To all my old subscribers, welcome as well. And please consider becoming a Patreon donor at patreon.com/acesadventures. Even as little as $1 a month helps. All that goes towards food, fuel, lodging, hotels, and whatnot. and without your support, I would not be able to have a channel. So links in the description for all that below. Thank you to the folks which will also be credited for the use of the drone footage and other clips and the fountain back in 2011. This is Anthony with Ace's Adventures, and we'll be back soon with more content. Well, here's hoping I don't get stuck.